Join the conversation in Tipperary. Contact us through Facebook, Twitter, or email tiptoday@tipfm.com.
Big reaction to John's contribution to the programme this morning, to John Leahy there. Well, we're always delighted to have John on the programme. I know we're going to be chatting to him early in the new year as well, because I suppose it's a time that people make all sorts of resolutions and the like. If you're starting to panic a little bit about Christmas gifts, don't forget that a book is always a great gift for anybody. And as we do every year, we went along to the Bookworm in Thurles to hear some of John Butler's recommendations on what to get and to hear what are the best-selling books of 2025.
John, great to be here at the Bookworm. It feels like my annual Christmas visit here as well. If we start with maybe some of the standout books of 2025, in your view, has there been many?
I think 2025 was a good year for fiction. Maybe not. There hasn't been any standout runaway seller, if you like, this year that I can think of. I suppose a couple of different genres have been very strong, like the romantasy has continued to grow and really popular with young readers, and I suppose has been TikTok has been a big influence there. And it's great to have that young people, in their early 20s, who wouldn't be the biggest readers in if you took the demographics of it, but that genre, that romantasy, and I'm talking authors like Sarah J. Maas, R.F. Kuang with her Catabasis series, writers like that who are huge sellers internationally, and it's fed through to Ireland. So that, I suppose, that genre has done really well and is still doing well, and it's been great. Other than that, very strong Irish fiction from an awful lot of mainly Irish women writers, like Jan Carson, Louise Kennedy, writers like that. There's been some very strong fiction, but as I said, no mad runaway success in those, but all very solid sellers throughout the year. Yeah.
For the kids then, you were saying the younger readers are great, but there's been this huge explosion of teen literature as well, hasn't there? Has that continued this year?
There has, well, particularly and again, it's very much in that romantasy category, if you like, and that has been strong. And again, it's for, I suppose, the slightly older reader. In the younger age groups, the graphic novels have continued to grow and get stronger. And it's not just the Wimpy Kid and the Dog Man and the Cat Kid. You're seeing a far broader range of graphic novels appealing to a wider, segment of younger readers, from age 7 up, including a few Irish writers like Aoife Dooley, a really good graphic novelist. And, you're seeing growth there the whole time. Thankfully, children's books are selling very well, and then you've got there's such a range of beautiful young children's books and picture books, and that that feeds on then to encouraging them to read as they grow. So children's reading is very strong.
Are we still seeing like the popularity in David Walliams, and I know there was a new Diary of a Wimpy Kid out the last few weeks. Is that still as popular as ever?
You are. I mean, I suppose David Walliams has maybe eased off a lot. Maybe the celebrity author idea has kind of waned a bit. Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a bit of a sameness about some of his books, but the Dog Man and the Wimpy Kid are as strong as ever. And it's great to have those that to bring young people into reading, and then maybe they'll go on to longer books and more kind of challenging reads.
Yeah. We know as well there's always a big release of books at this time of year for the Christmas gift as well. Are there any kind of biographies or anything, if people are looking for gift ideas, what would you suggest?
Well, there's any amount now. I wouldn't even get through a fraction of them just on this segment. But there's a few lovely books. If you want to stick with the children's books for the minute, there's some beautifully illustrated gift books that any child would love. And the good thing is that they'd appeal to a cross range of ages. A nice big one there is the Animalopedia. This comes from the they're the same series that they did the Irelandopedia and the Historyopedia, Cathy and John Burke. And they're fabulous books. They're kind of a big A3 size book with a huge amount of information and illustrations. This one, so Animalopedia, covers both flora and fauna of Ireland. Lots of little snippets of information, great illustrations. For any child interested in the natural world or doing projects or for schoolwork, these are brilliant books.
Yeah.
And
they don't get through them quickly.
And they appeal from maybe 8 years of age up to 14, 15 because there's so much content in them. There's a couple more lovely picture books there for maybe slightly younger. Oscar Wilde's Story for Children in a lovely new edition.
That's beautiful.
It is, illustrated by Lauren O'Hara. It's an absolutely gorgeous book. And to be read to a child, or for a child who's developing reading and is that bit more confident, they'd read it themselves. But it's an absolutely gorgeous book. One, Oscuelga, which is one of the loveliest books that came all year, Pusheen na Mróg, Puss in Boots, Oscuelga, illustrated by Paddy Donnelly, who's done quite a lot of picture books. And this is an absolutely gorgeous picture book in Irish. Any child, even if they're not strong at Irish or even if their parents are not strong at it, it's such a beautiful book.
Yeah.
Pusheen na Mróg, that is. And then just one more in the Irish gift books for children, Enchanted Ireland, an atlas of magical stories from every county, which is, as it says, it's a book of magical stories from around the country. Lovely illustrations. And again, a confident reader could read it themselves, or a nice book to read to a child at bedtime or whatever.
I have that one and I love it. And was there one last year?
There was one in the
Ghost
Ghost. He did a Haunted Ireland. Yeah, they are, and kids love those kind of mythical and legends and that. But it's a beautiful book. We mentioned already some of the books for older children, and two Irish writers that I'd like to mention. Leona Ford, who's written the Millie McCarthy series. I suppose kids of age 8, 9, 10 will be familiar with Millie McCarthy. She's a kind of an Irish equivalent of Wimpy Kid.
Yeah.
Except she's from Cork. Yeah. And she's always getting into all kinds of trouble and adventures, and very funny. So if you're looking for something different from the usual Wimpy Kids or the Dogman, Millie McCarthy, a huge hit for young, I suppose girls especially, but boys can read her too, is no problem. And then Donnacha O'Callaghan, the former rugby player and now radio personality, his books have been doing very well. And this is his second book, Disaster Dad, Fun Day Fiasco. And again, I suppose it's in that David Walliams type of humour, but again, it's an Irish setting and much more, I suppose, kids can relate to a book that's Irish written and set in Ireland. So that's a really nice one for that kind of 8 to 10 age group.
Squid Squad. I've seen that. That's one of your graphic novels.
One of the graphic novels from one of the Irish authors, Aoife Dooley, and this is her third book now and doing really well. And there's another one there, Sarah Bowie, who is another Irish writer, and Nina Peanut is her character, and again in that colourful graphic book format. So there is options and there's alternatives to the usual, the likes of Dogman and that.
And then for the more adult readers that among us.
Yeah, so there's some beautiful gift books again, and I suppose this time of year, lots of lovely hardbacks, which you mightn't buy a hardback throughout the year, but
you
at
can't
Christmas
beat
time,
a hardback.
Well, that's it, and as a nice gift. And again, these will appeal to male or female, or a gift for a mother or father or grandfather or grandmother. First one I picked out there is Michael Harding's new book. So Michael has published maybe 8 or 10 books over the years, and this is a beautiful hardback edition, which is the first time he's had a hardback, and it's Midwinter, it's called. And I suppose in it he's speaking about winter and how he sees the beauty in winter, and he's used this to kind of get over the darkness and the long nights of wintertime, and actually to see the beauty in the bare trees and in the frost and in the darkness. And he's really kind of just taken winter and accepted it, and this is what he's written about this in the book, and it's really a lovely book. Again, you could give it to anybody. Great Irish Wives.
Yeah, I should be in it, am I?
Well, this is it. As the book says, so many of the famous Irish men in history their wives have been neglected, or they're invisible.
Overlooked,
but yet,
yeah.
without their wives, these people would not have achieved what they did. So people like Matilda Tone, Mary O'Connell, Constance Wilde, Emily Shackleton, Sinead de Valera, George Yates, and Beatrice Behan, and it's a lovely edition.
Wow,
but it's
beautiful.
a book for anyone, male or female, and a kind of an interesting take on that part of history that has kind of been probably undiscovered or hidden a bit.
We've had a great year in sport, of course, as well. I think that's opened the door for some great books. I know we spoke to Noel Dundon on the show recently about his book From the Ashes as well. In terms of sport books, then, what would you recommend?
Yeah, I'd have to recommend Noel's, of course, for the year that Tip have had. And, what was so unexpected a year ago to be All-Ireland champions. And Noel's record is a fine, detailed effort, a detailed account of the year that Tip had, and very reasonably priced. I think it's $16.99. But there's also the lovely Season of Sundays photographic book record of the championship in both hurling and football. Tip aren't on the cover, unfortunately, maybe, but David Clifford is. So well, I suppose they have to get their day in the sun too. And then we have another book that's coming, which isn't just out yet, is The History of the Harty Cup, which is the senior colleges hurling competition, which should be should have huge appeal in Munster. That is written by Liam O'Donoghue, so that's being launched shortly, and promises to be a fine book. Then there's another GA book that I need to mention called The GA Covered, and this is a history of the GA and the championships through old programmes, and it's actually a fascinating book. It's a beautiful book. You have hundreds and hundreds of pictures of old programme covers. And I think the old covers are far more interesting than the newer ones, which are very corporate and glossy and sponsored and obviously computer designed. But when you go back to the 70s and the 60s and you see the very basic design, but actually they were beautiful designs. But there's also plenty of text in the book. And again, it's a lovely gift for any GAA fan. It's called The GAA Covered. Rugby is also very strong, obviously, this year, with biographies of Conor Murray, Andrew Porter, Andy Farrell, and a lovely book on Munster. Even though Munster hasn't had great success in recent years, this is kind of celebrating the 15 years
days.
From 2010 to 2025. So plenty of lovely photographs in that too for any rugby fan, and some great colour and action pictures. Yeah,
I'm a little sceptical of the sports biographies when they come out at Christmas. Are they good though?
It depends. There's a lot of sports biographies that are not particularly well written, and I think the exception are some of these Irish ones, though. A lot of those soccer biographies that you'd see coming out with young players that might be only in their 20s, and they're
their life story,
their life story at the age of 23, But I think in the case of these, Conor Murray, Andy Farrell, they're intelligent guys, and these books are well written. Andrew Porter's book is very good too. So it depends very much, and Christmas time is a great time for sports books, and outside of Christmas I suppose they wouldn't sell in huge numbers, but it is an ideal gift.
Can I ask you then finally, for the people, maybe because it's difficult to buy a book for people because you have a particular genre, a particular author that you may like, and people may not know that. Are there any kind of real fail-safe books that you can get people, do you think, that regardless of what their preferred genre is, they're likely to like it? That's a tough one now.
It is. I suppose it depends on what you're buying, whether you want a gift book. If you want a gift book, there are so many, especially Irish published gift books this year. There seems to be a great range of hardback Irish books, even some, people love memories and reminiscences and books on folklore and old times, and there's a selection of those these years. Old Ways to New Days by Shane Lahan is a lovely book. Remnants of Our Past by Deirdre O'Neill, and there's a particularly lovely one. It's called The Irish Farm in Colour. It's like those. There was a series of books there in recent years called Ireland in Colour. There was several books.
Civil War one, wasn't
there was, and so they've colorised old photographs. And this is an absolutely gorgeous book. I mean, where do you go wrong with a farm book in Tipperary? There's huge interest in this book, and it's absolutely gorgeous, and not hugely expensive, $27.99. But some lovely photographs, and so a book like that, if you don't know that somebody's a reader, a gift book like that, a coffee table book that they can just have out there on the coffee table. If you know they're a reader, that's a different thing. You pick something, and the good thing is that most bookshops will change a book without, there's no problem really for exchanging books after Christmas. So there's plenty of good thrillers. Richard Osman has a new one. Mick Herron, who wrote the Slow Horses series, which has been a huge hit, and his new book is Clown Town, which is really good. John Grisham has a new one. Mary Cassidy, the former state pathologist, she has a new one, and it's really good. Lee Child. There are lots of good thrillers. There's lots of good literary fiction. So yeah, across the board, there's and if anyone is not sure, they can always ask us, and we can suggest something for them. Yeah. But as I said, there's never a problem exchanging a book. Anyway, often people end up with 2 copies of the same book. Yeah, that's not a problem either.
How has it been the run up to Christmas? Has it been busy?
It's been busy. I think it's a slow build up. Money is tight, obviously, cost of living, and I think people are being careful. But hopefully, Christmas will come and trade will be, good. It'll be solid, I think.
Yeah. Just remind us as well here at the Bookworm. Tell us when you're open.
Well, we're open every day from 9:30 till 6 o'clock, Monday to Saturday. And we'll do a couple of Sundays in December as well. So, and we're also online, bookworm.ie. So if anyone is having trouble getting to us, they can have a look online.
Great, John. Thank you again every year. Thank you so much for your recommendations, and happy Christmas.
Thanks, Alison. Thank you very much.
And the Bookworm, easily one of my favourite bookshops. Anyway, we would highly recommend it to you. One of our listeners on to say, could you ask Mr. Lahey, that would be John Lahey who spoke to us earlier, in his opinion, now that it's turned out to be extremely dangerous shipping in drugs as a result of the actions of this amazing President of the United States in his country, that these drug boats may now arrive on our shores to exacerbate the already crazy drug use abuse problem in our little nation, it says here. Well, I'm not certain that. I presume you're referring to what's happening in Venezuela, where the Americans are attacking these boats allegedly carrying drugs are concerned. I'm not sure. I mean, the situation in the States, and God knows here now as well, is so huge. I'm not sure how much good really that is going to do to the overall picture when you think about the amount of places that would be supplying the States with drugs. I mean, all the way back in 1971, Richard Nixon, he declared drugs as being public enemy number 1, and he came up with that whole notion about a war on drugs, and that war has been largely lost. So anyway, interesting comment from one of our listeners there. 083 311 3311. News and information's coming up.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.